13 News at 5 starts right now.
A winter storm leaves its mark on the southwest, and now it's headed our way. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jeff Lawson. I'll show you what we can expect and how long the system will stick around.
Then a fast-moving fire.
I heard a big loud boom.
And narrow escape from death. I'm Sandra Parker. Tonight, the quick actions that saved a woman and her grandmother and what triggered the dangerous flames.
Plus, allegations of sex, drugs, and internet offerings. I'm Regina Mobley. Ahead, the home in an upscale beach neighborhood now under investigation.
It is Wednesday night, and the big story on 13 News, Hampton Roads braces for another taste of winter weather. Good evening, everyone.
The call from the Weather Lab tonight. Get ready for a messy morning commute in parts of the area. Let's get a peek at the system. Light snow fell across Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas this morning. This is the same system that's marching eastward. It will bring snow, sleet, and freezing rain to many parts of the South. And Hampton Roads is in the storm's path.
So let's find out from the Weather Lab now when we can expect that winter weather to get here.
Chief Meteorologist Jeff Lawson joins us now with the latest. Jeff, what's the timetable on this storm?
Well, I wouldn't be totally surprised if we get a stray, sort of a renegade flurry out ahead of the main storm in advance of it. Maybe during the morning rush. That will not be the bulk of the storm. I do not anticipate problems during the morning rush hour. Now, after the morning rush hour, by not too many hours, that's when we're going to start to see some travel problems and some headaches beginning to move in. The weather headlines as we go through time look like this. First of all, temperatures tonight will get down into the 20s. That is going to be hard to displace in the morning. And of course, the timing, the morning part of that is important because that's when the precipitation begins to arrive. It should roll in late morning as a sort of a mix, some snow, sleet, maybe a little rain mixed in at times, maybe even a little bit of freezing rain. But I think the predominant factor will be frozen precipitation, wintertime precipitation. Then we'll see a change over to rain during and by the afternoon for most of us. An accumulation, though, is likely before that changeover. So whether it's a quarter of an inch or a half an inch or whatever, or if it's just on the roadways and the overpasses, for example, there could be some significant problems tomorrow with icing before everything changes to rain and stays all rain during the night tomorrow night. Now, a few spots will get a little bit more. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. For now, that's the latest live from the 13 News Weather Lab.
Of course, Jeff Lawson will keep us up to date on the storm all night. Plus, we'll have team coverage of the winter weather tomorrow morning on 13 News Daybreak beginning at 5 a.m. Plus, you'll be able to get a complete list of any school closings or delays on your screens and at WVEC.com.
Well, the chilly temperatures added to the fight for Hampton firefighters today. 2 women narrowly escaped a fire at this home on Michelle Drive. That fire broke out around 9:30 this morning and caused major damage. And investigators think they know what started it. 13 News Peninsula Bureau Chief Velma Scaife is live at Hampton with that story for us. Velma?
Well, the fire started in a wood pile. It eventually became electrical. But according to the fire marshal, it was sparked by a cigarette. When firefighters arrived at the 2-story house in the River Terrace neighborhood, heavy smoke and flames were visible from the 2nd floor, and 2 residents were safely outside.
The daughter of the owner of the home was downstairs watching TV, and she heard a crackling noise. She said the sound that you would hear like in a fireplace when wood's popping and cracking. So she went out where she heard it was the back door, and she opened the back door, and she saw flames.
The fire marshal says it's good that a resident focused on getting herself and her grandmother out of the burning house instead of thinking she could handle it and trying to put the flames out herself.
And she ran upstairs to get her grandmother, who was upstairs. And as she was walking downstairs, she looked into the bathroom downstairs and noticed it was on fire.
The fire reportedly got its start from a discarded cigarette that landed in a wood pile outside the back door. The flames then traveled up the side of the house, igniting power lines.
And I heard a big loud boom.
With the phone lines dead inside of the house, a neighbor called 911.
Came outside, looked in my backyard, and I looked at my neighbor's fence, and the whole back side of his yard was ablaze.
The Red Cross tonight is assisting the 4 adults who lived in the house. Reporting live from Hampton, Velma Scaife, 13 News.
And another fire late this afternoon, this one in Virginia Beach. 13 News was on the scene as firefighters worked to put out a fire on Strawbridge Road. No one was hurt, but the 1-story house was heavily damaged. No word yet on a cause for that fire.
There's an update just in on Monday night's shooting of a drug suspect in the city of Portsmouth. Just a few minutes ago, police confirmed with 13 News that an officer did in fact shoot Charles Savage. Police approached Savage in his car at the Golden Skillet on Victory Boulevard. Police say Savage took off and shots were fired at his car. He was found several blocks down the street dead in the car. The officer has been placed on administrative leave as an internal affairs investigation gets underway.
A late word from Newport News Police that a bus driver questioned in connection with a beating of a 12-year-old boy will not be charged in that case. Another 12-year-old is charged with maiming in the case from last week. Witnesses on the school bus reported that the driver encouraged the suspect to assault the other boy, but Commonwealth's attorney tells 13 News that no charges will be brought on the driver. The victim remains in the hospital tonight.
There is new information tonight on the trial of a man accused of opening fire at a Chesapeake store. It's now up to the jury in the case of James Phillips to decide whether he's guilty. Phillips is accused of shooting his ex-wife and killing his sister-in-law at a BJ's Wholesale Club in Chesapeake last year. It's a case with plenty of twists and turns about a marriage gone bad. 13 News reporter Mary Nelson is live in Chesapeake with the latest.
The jurors have been deliberating for about an hour now. They've heard Phillips say that he admits to the killings. Now they have to decide whether those killings were premeditated. The images on your television screen only begin to tell what happened that April night at BJ's Wholesale Club, a story that's unfolded in testimony and evidence over the last 8 days at the Chesapeake Courthouse. Witnesses testified how James and Karen Phillips had recently separated, how James Phillips drove to BJ's, his wife's work, shot Linda Baggett, his sister-in-law, in the parking lot first, and then ran inside and shot his wife. We can't show you the surveillance video jurors saw just before they were excused to begin deliberating. The video capturing Phillips running inside the store, pointing a shotgun and then shooting. A doctor said Karen suffered a stroke and lost the hand she held up as a shield. The public defender says that Phillips acted in the heat of passion. The Commonwealth's attorney says that these acts were planned and that he knew exactly what he was doing. We'll have an update for you tonight at 6 o'clock. Live in Chesapeake, Mary Nelson, 13 News.
A Navy man accused of killing his girlfriend's toddler cops a plea in court. Our partners at the Pilot report that 34-year-old Carlos Ortega pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. Police say 2-year-old Trevon Wigfall died from severe head trauma at the home in the beach back in November of 2005. The judge said that Ortega hit the child too many times for it to be an accident. Ortega will be sentenced in late March.
The hearing for a man accused in a murder at a Chesapeake gas station has been delayed. Joel Voker was to face a judge this morning, but the preliminary hearing has been continued. Voker is accused of murdering Ozkan Karazu at a Texaco station on South Military Highway last November. Karazu was the clerk there and was married with 3 children. There is no word on a new court date.
Well, neighbors call it a house of trouble, and police have been there several times, but there are a lot of questions about what's going on inside a home in Virginia Beach's Hilltop neighborhood. The house is located on Little Horseshoe Drive. That's behind Hilltop East Shopping Center. Police say one of the residents is a career criminal, and the home is listed on an internet classified site for questionable practices. 13 News reporter Andrea Borba is live in the newsroom. Now, Andrea, what exactly is going on at this home?
Well, Sandra, neighbors on Little Horseshoe Drive didn't know what Virginia Beach police knew when Celicia Rogowski and her boyfriend moved in about a year ago. And tonight, after finding an ad offering sex on Craigslist, Rogowski has more charges to face. This house on Little Horseshoe Drive is empty, a rag stuffed where the doorknob should be, and a boarded up sliding glass door. The home was raided on January 27th and 18 arrests were made, including 13 minors. Virginia Beach officers were acting on a search warrant looking for drug use, underage drinking, and most shockingly of all in this quiet neighborhood, prostitution.
It just never occurred to me to worry about something like this. We have one of the safest neighborhoods in Virginia Beach.
Not everyone on the street was surprised. Many neighbors we spoke with didn't want to go on camera. One neighbor tells 13 News, though, that Rogowski had offered his landscapers access to the prostitutes if they mowed her lawn. That's also what investigators said in their search warrant, and said Rogowski, using her middle name Hope, was advertising sexual services with explicit photographs on the website Craigslist. Investigators are keeping a tight lid on what's going on with the prostitution charges.
There's still quite a bit of investigation to be done on that side of the case. They'll have to look over any evidence that was seized from that search warrant.
Neighbors say they had confronted Rogowski only to have her scream to back off because she was an SID informant.
My granddaughters always said, "Mama, hope you are too protective." Well, this makes you want to be more protective.
Now, Rogowski's boyfriend was also arrested. He owns the house and is currently in the crosshairs of the city for code violations on the property. Live in the newsroom, Andrea Borba, 13 News.
A Currituck County woman is locked up tonight charged with shooting her husband. Police say the shooting happened in a home on Grandy Road in the town of Grandy. Vicki Ann Jensen Davis is charged with assault with a deadly weapon. Her husband, Brian Davis, is in fair condition at Centera Norfolk General Hospital. Mr. Davis works for Blackwater USA and Mrs. Davis works for the County Communications Center. Police have not released a motive for the shooting.
Well, we are watching some breaking news in New England. A major security alert is in effect for Boston after 5 suspicious packages were found across the city. Police located the devices near a medical center and several bridges. Coast Guard has also closed the Charles River through Boston. Now, the bomb squad has already detonated some of those devices, and it seems police now believe that the incidents were all hoaxes. We'll, of course, keep you updated on that situation in Boston.
Are you making yourself an easy target when it comes to your car? Police say many people are. I'm Lindsay Roberts. Coming up new tonight at 5:30, we take a closer look at the growing car break-in problem in our area, what you can do to protect yourself.
Slicing through the heart without making a cut. I'm 13 News medical editor Catherine Barrett. I'll show you the newest way to diagnose heart disease with 8,000 pictures.
An approaching winter storm will mean snow or sleet for most of you watching right now, and then a changeover. We'll tell you how much accumulates before the rain moves in. That's next at 5.
In tonight's 13 News Medical Report, a faster, non-invasive way to diagnose heart disease.
The image is giving doctors a new way to see the heart without using surgery or other invasive procedures. 13 News medical editor Catherine Barrett joins us now with that story. Catherine.
And it's all how you slice it. Just kidding. Seriously, it's called a 64-slice CT scan. And the technology offers a lot more than just an old glimpse of the heart. You hold your breath, and 8 seconds later, you're done, while a computer then goes to work building a 3D image of your heart. I watched as a Virginia Beach man had it done at Centera Heart Hospital in Norfolk. Walking down the hall, no problem for Stephen Cogan, but going upstairs was an issue.
Wasn't every time, it was occasional. It would be just a walk up a flight of stairs, and I'd get to the top and I'd get real short in breath.
Was it heart problems? A cardiac stress test was inconclusive. Traditionally, he'd next have a procedure where a needle is inserted into the leg and a catheter is threaded to the heart to test for blockages. But his cardiologist recommended something else.
The era of having to take people to the cardiac cath lab just to obtain the images to figure out what's going on is probably over.
Instead, Stephen was having three-dimensional, detailed images of his heart taken by a new 64-slice CT or CAT scan.
Take a breath in, slow that breath out.
Basically, it's taking that 238 images and building it 10 times at different parts of the heartbeat. The scanner is going 360 degrees around his body, and it's taking information the whole time.
In a study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, researchers noted high quality and accuracy of 64-slice CT compared to coronary angiography.
Be able to see anyone's heart with this level of detail is just truly amazing.
Doctors are already looking toward the future and how this technology could be used not just to diagnose heart disease, but to screen for it too, in hopes they could make changes and never need an invasive heart procedure.
So my zest for this technology is that we'll be able to prevent heart disease by identifying people with the earliest signs.
And those new CT scans can be read quickly too. Stephen Cogan's scan already showed he had no blockages, no heart problems. While the region's first 64-slice CT is at Centera, both Riverside and Bon Secours have plans to offer the new technology as well. Catherine Barrett, 13 News.
It's a rather quiet evening out there. State police are telling us we only have one accident. This is Route 17 near the draw around the James River Bridge. If you're headed toward the peninsula, you're going to find that traffic is backed up just a little bit to Mason Creek, and traffic looking pretty good at the downtown and the midtown tunnel this evening. Let's go ahead and check our 13 News traffic cameras. This is just around Norview Avenue, 64 east and westbound. A little bit heavy 64 eastbound, and tomorrow they will have test lift at the James River Bridge 3:30, 4, and 4:30 a.m. Benita Adams, 13 News.
From the 13 News Weather Lab, here's Chief Meteorologist Jeff Lawson.
All right, we have Evan building a new graphic for you on some snow accumulation facts and figures. And of course, Julie, we've got the whole team in here working on this storm. It looks like it's definitely going to bring winter weather, as I mentioned. Let's start out actually by looking at the high definition radar network. A little bit perhaps of something trying to pop up there just to the east of Petersburg. I think that's primarily, though, a little bit of ground clutter. So let's take a look at the forecast as we go through tonight. That's when things start to get interesting. It will be increasingly cloudy tonight and unseasonably cold. As temperatures get down into the 20s, that is going to set the stage for a wintertime event during the day tomorrow. So let's talk all about that. We'll start out with the wider view, the satellite shot, showing a couple of high thin clouds around this morning, 4 or 5 a.m. Those quickly gave way to the sunshine, and now just as rapidly, we're starting to see moisture increasing from the west. Just in the last couple of hours even, all of a sudden you see a lot of cloudiness starting to filter through areas of the deep south. At the very edge of your screen, a little bit of snow showing up even in northern areas right now of Mississippi, Alabama. So we're going to be looking at this high pressure rapidly moving east, settling over us tonight, and then just as quickly heading offshore during the day tomorrow. Right now, very uniform readings. Everybody on a regional scale is in the 30s. Won't be too long, though, before we see some 20s, another few hours here. As readings right now, 35 at the beach, 34 in Hampton, 35 in Norfolk, 34 at the beach as well as Hampton, 39 the relative warm spot right now in Suffolk. That is down from yesterday, down considerably, as much as 9-10 degrees. No wind out there right now, and as high pressure settles in, we won't have much wind during the night tonight. But again, the big news will be the falling temperatures. Currently 35 south side, 37 on the peninsula. Only made it up, unofficially anyway, to 39 degrees. Looks like we may not have even gotten out of the 30s. We'll find out in the next hour or so. Normally we're up to 48 this time of year. Yesterday was 47. So a definite change today, especially with that brisk wind that was blowing in. Look how tranquil everything looks to start this map this evening. And by morning, it's certainly starting to get a little more ominous. Some clouds on the increase. I wouldn't doubt there's even a stray flurry during your morning rush hour out ahead of the main precipitation event. But during the middle part of the day, that's when we'll see a mixed bag of precipitation. Maybe not for the Outer Banks mixed precipitation, but for most everybody else, we are going to see snow, sleet, mix of rain, maybe some freezing rain even potentially, turning over then by afternoon and into the evening to rain for most of us. Maybe not the northern parts of the eastern shore or middle peninsula or northern neck. There could be some of these farthest inland areas that hold on to it for a little while longer before later tomorrow evening things then change definitely to rain, as it'll continue to warm up even during the overnight. And then we see some very early morning rain on Friday and things clear out. So tonight down into the mid-20s, that sets the stage tomorrow. Again, with unseasonably cold weather and temperatures all the way down into the mid-20s, we'll have to watch for what begins to happen during the day tomorrow. Periods of rain after that start that we're going to be talking about with the snow. So watch for some icing potentially tomorrow night in Central Virginia. And then the 7-day forecast where your weekend is always in view. 47 during the day on Friday, 44 Saturday, and then we're watching another potential storm maybe Sunday, Monday, and into Tuesday. The bottom line is it is going to be bitterly cold next week. And I have a feeling that may keep that coastal storm down to our south, but we'll certainly watch it. So the bottom line, clouds roll in tonight, a wintry mix changing to rain tomorrow.
We will be watching you, Jeff.
Definitely keeping an eye on that.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Jeff.
Well, ahead on 13 News, a scary scene in the streets of D.C. Something on a bus explodes and bursts into flames. We're going to have the latest on what happened to the passengers on that bus.
But first, money talks, and the president talks about money. Find out what he's saying as he tours Wall Street and why Americans aren't happy about the economy.
This weather segment is brought to you by Dodge.
We're back back with developments in the economy and differing opinions between some Americans and the president. And some good news just in. Key interest rates are staying right where they are.
The announcement comes as the president takes his speech on the economy where the big bucks are. President Bush headed to New York City, touring the stock exchange and talking about corporate salaries and a growing economy. But as 13 News reporter Rob Simmelkar tells us, many people don't agree with the president's message.
In the midst of a backlash against his war policy and sagging approval ratings, President Bush today spoke in a place where he is very popular. Wall Street.
There is one undisputed leader in the world in terms of economy, and that's the United States of America.
The world of high finance has plenty of reasons to cheer the president. There have now been 20 consecutive quarters of economic growth. The Dow Jones average is up over 400 points since the aftermath of 9/11, and Wall Streeters just received record bonuses, which they will get to keep a lot more of thanks to the Bush tax cuts.
The fastest way to kill a recovery would be to raise taxes on the people who created it. Now is not the time for the federal government to be raising taxes on the American people.
But despite all this good news, the public at large seems largely unimpressed with the president's handling of the economy. A recent ABC News Washington Post poll revealed that only 41% of Americans approve of the president's handling of it. In an interview with ABC News on Tuesday, the president tried to explain the disconnect.
You know, people are working and wages are up, but we're in a time of war, and war's unsettling. War's negative, and I understand that.
While Americans may be feeling unsettled, they're feeling pretty good about their own economic outlooks. 59% say their personal finances are excellent or good. Rob Simmelkar, ABC News, New York.
One more set of numbers for you. While corporate CEOs make millions in bonuses, even severance packages, since 2001, 1 in 5 manufacturing jobs have been lost. There's a lot more coming up for you on 13 News.
David Allen joins us with some of the stories we're working on for you.
All new from the newsroom at 5:30. Oceana's top officer talks only to 13 News about the future of the master jet base in Virginia Beach, and is the city keeping its promise on the encroachment issue? Also, a rash of car break-ins in Hampton Roads. 13 News takes a look at which cities are seeing the most. Plus, a simple thing you can do to protect your vehicle.
Closed captioning of 13 News at 5, 5:30, and 6 is sponsored by Dodge. Grab life by the horns. Dodge.
Across America tonight, a gunfight in northern Florida ends with a sheriff's wife and several others dead.
Police say that the suspect shot the woman and a sheriff's deputy before officers could kill the suspects. It happened outside the Jackson County Sheriff's home in Marianna, Florida. Now, the sheriff's wife called her husband's office to report intruders in the area, but when the deputy arrived, shots were fired. Investigators do not know the motive for the shootings.
And in Massachusetts, police got a little more than they bargained for during a drug bust. As they were raiding the apartment, they found 2-foot-long alligators. Even more disturbing, a woman and 3 children were living in the home. Police say reptiles like gators and snakes are gaining popularity among drug dealers because they're used to protect the stash. Up next, a staggering number of car break-ins has police getting the word out about protecting your vehicle.
David Allen and the 13 News team are standing by with that story and more right now on 13 News at 5:30.